What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Popcorn People Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valera. On today's episode, we have not one, not two, but three movie reviews this week. It was a packed week that nobody saw any of the movies we're going to talk about, apparently, because that's just what people do. They probably went and saw Deadpool and Wolverine for the 77th time and then wonder why we don't get new movies, but that's beside the point. But it's going to be a fun episode. It's going to be a mix of reviews, just breaking down some of our thoughts across the board. Some interesting choices, some interesting things, some good performances, some bad things, but it's going to be all a mixed bag of goods. As always, joined by my partner here, Mr. Don Fisher. How are you, buddy?
What's popping, Colonels? Man, I've watched so much stuff in the past like 2 weeks. And it's for us, and I know that like when people are like, they think they expect us to see everything early, and when we don't, we have weekends like this where we have to cram things all in to 1 or 2 days, because we don't want to watch it too late because we want to get the information to you guys. So this was one of those weekend, and this is the second weekend of the month where I've watched multiple movies in one day at the theater, not just at home. At home is one thing because I can watch one in the morning, watch one in the afternoon, watch one at night. But the theater, you can't exactly. I mean, you can. However, I got to eat. You know what I mean? And I can't eat theater if I can't afford to keep eating theater food. It's not always great either. Like I've had some. I love the little corn dog nuggets, but sometimes they're cold on the inside. Sometimes the popcorn is a little burnt. Sometimes the pizza's a little overcooked. So I gotta, I gotta do what I gotta do sometimes, and wear pants with multiple zippers and bring a hoodie in 90-degree weather.
97-degree weather. That's what I did the other day. When I saw Blink Twice, I think it was, or maybe it was The Crow. I don't know, one of those two. But yeah, it was definitely interesting. I agree with you though, because now you saw all three of the movies we're going to talk about today in the theater. I did see Strange Darling at Home. They sent it to me to watch. But yeah, like this week was extremely busy for both of us, obviously. So on my side of things, I'm watching a TV. Like I've got September TV shows already. They send me screeners for it, so I've got I've binge watched an entire show already. I mean, I can say what I binge watched. I guess just can't tell you whether I liked it or not. I binge watched the entire Aaron Hernandez show. I binge watched the Nobody Wants This show that's coming on Netflix with Adam Brody. I'm in the middle of binge watching Fight Night, the Kevin Hart, Samuel Jackson show. And then, of course, I'm watching a reality TV show called The Anonymous. It's actually fantastic. It's on USA Network. And then I've watched 1992, which is coming out next week. We'll probably talk about that on next week's show. And then then I saw The Crow Thursday night, Blink Twice Friday night. You know what I mean? So it's been bam, 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 bam. And it's crazy. It's not going to stop. This is the time of year. If we're not getting screeners, we're at the theaters because, again, we're trying to watch as much as we can because we're at that point of the year where it's like we're getting inching closer and closer to the award season.
Yep.
And it's time to start formulating bodies of votes and ballots and stuff like that. And, nothing I really watched this week really kind of enhanced any of that, but that's aside the point. But
it's awards, got award season along with, essentially a festival season. You got TIFF, and you have Nashville Film Festival, and you have AFI, and you have
Venice.
I'm forgetting one. New York.
Venice is this week. This week, which is Beetlejuice is opening up for that. I think it is.
And they just finished the Holly Shorts Festival last week, so there's a lot going on. And it's funny when we talk to people about like, oh, what have you seen? And you're like, wait, I got. Hold on, let me just show you my phone real quick, and I'll just go through all the notes I've taken.
Yeah, and then the flip side of it is like when people ask you that, especially this time of the year, like I mean, we saw A Different Man I watched His Three Daughters, and those two movies, like I can't even talk about yet. Like we can't talk about either one of those. We can say we saw the movies, like we can say
Right.
we saw. So like part of it is like what have you seen? And it's like, well, I saw this. Well, when is it out? Mid October. And then like His Three Daughters is like my wife really wanted to see that movie on top of it. So like I watched it and people were like, she was telling people, hey, like you need to watch His Three Daughters. I was like, hey, babe, you need to let them know that it doesn't come out until September 20th, though. You just go ahead and let them know. She's like, oh, I was like, yeah. Yeah, like it's like a month from now. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So yeah,
Yep.
it's crazy. It's crazy. But we'll stop the scuttlebutt here for a minute and go ahead and dive into the movies that we watched this week. I'll play one of these and then we'll just go through here.
And that picture is perfect because we're gonna start off with The Crow, okay? Um, and this is I don't know what you want to call it. I assume you want to just call it a remake. I don't know necessarily know if it's a reboot. I don't know if they're going to try to go forward with this, but we'll say remake. But this one is it's almost exactly what you expect. Soulmates Eric Draven and Shelley Webster are brutally murdered when demons of her dark past catch up with him. Given a chance to save his true love by sacrificing himself, Draven returns to seek bloody revenge against the killers, traversing the worlds of the living and the dead to put wrong things right. Directed by Rupert Sanders, starring Bill Skarsgård, FK Twigs, and Danny Hudson. Um, I'll go first on this one. So most people that know me know, The Crow is my favorite movie, the original Crow. The sequels, trash, garbage. They tried, and it's really hard to capture a movie that, for one, has so much kind of a curse or a kind of weird energy surrounding the movie with Brandon Lee passing during making of the film. And then the movie, I'm sure, wasn't supposed to become this cult movie like they thought it was going to be. Originally, it was going to come out, I think, on like home video, and then it was bought by I want to say like Miramax or somebody, but after the fact, they put some more money into it, push it out, and then we have what we have, what has come to become a cult classic. Now, going into this film, I had zero expectations because I've seen the other sequels and they are not good. They try their best to capture that same dark magic that was in the first one, and they all fall short. The guys usually look terrible, and the CGI, the effects they use, isn't even as good as what the original was, and it's really weird because a lot of these came out in the 2000s. But this one, we get kind of posters that they don't look the best because there's this kind of dark like romance novel like gloss over the posters. We see the images and we're so used to that look of Brandon Lee that it's hard to see anything else because you want that long drapey hair, but we have to know like this is set now. Yes, we have the long hair guys, we got man buns, but they didn't want to go this route because we wanted to go into more of a sad boy goth aesthetic with this film. Skarsgård's great, and when I see him attached to this film, I'm like, oh, at least I know he doesn't sign up for bullshit, right? So automatically, I was like, it's gonna be somewhat good, even if it's just his performance. Now we get into the movie and the story, same characters as far as Eric and Shelley, but it is very different how they are together, what they're doing. Like, you don't have that same musician and girlfriend type of vibe. And what we get is trauma, generational trauma that's passed down to these two from being a little kid and whatever else that happened with their families, into meeting somewhere where in a situation where it was kind of this perfect bond for these type of characters and who they were as people. These kind of dark, tortured souls with kind of nowhere to go. They don't know where they're going in life. They just know how they feel about things. And what we get out of this film that we don't in the original is we do get why Eric and Shelley did feel so attached to each other, why the love was so strong. Now, I do think they kind of, even though it it felt a little long getting to that story part at the beginning, it also did feel kind of glossed over because instead of seeing how they really meshed together, it was like, oh, we had sex 3 times in one day. We're so in love, and I was kind of like, y'all, I could have done something better. If you're gonna do like a goth story, I need them to be like I need them to be goth. Like if you they clearly don't know like any goth people and they just know the aesthetic. They have like a distant friend who's goth. They don't have a best friend who's goth. Okay, but when we get to the supernatural part of it, the one thing that I thought was super cool, and I don't want to spoil it because I do want people to go see it because it didn't do great this weekend. But there's a go between, right? That how he figures out what he's supposed to be doing and how we get these crow powers because the original movie he just kind of wakes up and he knows I got to go do some dirt and punish the people who killed me and my fiance. And this one we get the go between that kind of tells us what's going on, why he's getting this. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed this kind of shepherd through the journey. And then once we get to the violence, we get to the kills, it looks fucking dope. It looks gnarly. The way he heals. I mean, I feel like that rivals Wolverine's healing. Like it looked so good. Um the movie is like the it captured the gritty of the 90s, but in a today's fashion. Um, and just what we don't get from the original, we do in this one is just how gnarly the kills are. We get to see that it's like graphic. We get to see bones breaking. We get to see things getting sliced off. I will say the downside to the movie is its villain. I They didn't gas him up enough to be like this true bad guy. What he was doing was like terrible, but he was very kind of hands off with things to where you like, I mean, he's a bad guy, but like, is he like this big bad? I don't know. To me, it didn't really like, it didn't sell it to me. This super maniacal evil guy. Because we should, with his backstory, we should have seen more of the backstory to kind of see how we got to the point that he was in instead of him just talking about it. But overall, I think it's a good time. Most people that I've talked to who are big Crow fans, everybody enjoyed it. You don't want to compare it to the original because it's not the original. This became its own thing. There were some things that they could have, some little extra things they could have done to make it that much more better. But I thought the score was good. The cinematography is good. Now we didn't get as much of the actual bird, the crow, as we did the other ones, which I think is actually kind of a plus. There wasn't a lot of a focus on the bird just looking at things and the weird flying that we saw in some of the sequels. It looks terrible. Where they overlaid like a bird flying over a video game. We don't need all that because it looks terrible. And this one, it looked really good. There is one scene that I thought was a little cheesy, and you've seen it in the trailer, and it's him with all the crows flying in a circle around him. I was like, that just didn't look great to me. But other than that, man, I had a great time. Um, does he replace Brandon Lee? Hell no. The original Crow is going to be up here, but this one does supersede the other sequels by miles. But yeah, that's how I feel. It's a good time. Please go see it. Like Ricky was saying, this may be IP, but this is still like small IP. So like to see like small creative stories, you got to see these stories. But what were your thoughts?
So look, I'll be honest. All right. Going into this film, little to no expectations. It's been in purgatory for a lot of years. There's been a lot of different people attached to the project. It's hard to really get excited about something like this whenever you know that there's a project like this that's kind of in purgatory and like what's happening. Is it ever going to get made? And then, of course, when you attach Bill Skarsgård to it, you get excited because Skarsgård, to me, very great actor, very good at what he does. When you look at who wrote the script, it's kind of funny that Zach Baline is one of the people that co-wrote the script because he's written scripts like Bob Marley One Love, Gran Turismo, Creed 3, King Richard, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like he's written a lot of great scripts in his time as well, like co-written scripts as well. For me, I'll be honest, the script is pretty bad, right? I think the script is pretty bad. I think that the story is pretty dumb for the most part. I don't mind the Bonnie and Clyde-esque opening of the introduction of Shelley and Eric. I think that their relationship's fine. Things escalated from 0 to like 150 really, really fast. But I do think that the flip side of it is like Shelley is broken. He is broken. Two broken people find each other, blah, 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 blah. Now, that said, I really did like their chemistry together. I did think Shelley or FKA Twigs was really good in this movie. I thought that she played very well opposite Skarsgård. Albeit, I wish that maybe we would have gotten a little bit more of her. I don't feel like we got enough of her on the screen, and I think that the movie kind of hinders a bit because of it. It really does kick up a notch in the third act. The gruesome fight sequences, some of the most badass kill sequences, some of the way the utilizations of the weapons to get the kills, using his own body to kill people was badass. Like there's so many different things about the kill sequences I really did like. I will say this, the sound editing on this was abysmal. There's like parts and times where Bill Skarsgård's like talking and you're like, can you please repeat that? I did not hear you. So whoever did the sound editing on this movie, it was bad. Like the sound mixing was just it was brutal. Like it was just, and even the fight sequences, I didn't feel like they did enough justice for them because of sometimes the sound was not there where I thought it should be. But overall, I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I don't think it's great by any stretch of the imagination. I feel like it's the perfect August movie. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's good. It's forgettable, sure, but also I had a lot of fun with it. So I don't get the 20% of Rotten Tomatoes hate for it. But yeah, I mean, I wish people would have supported it and seen it. But I do think that this was kind of going to happen just based on the simple fact that it's just not the IP, the backstory, the purgatory that the film was in. I mean, the 75 people that were attached to play this character, it's been in hell for a while, and it's not really surprising. So,
and it's crazy to think that what the tomato meter gives it compared to like what we saw as in Furiosa. Like they think Furiosa is a damn masterpiece. Yeah. And
wow.
Oh, and I have to mention, dude, me and my wife went to see it on Friday, and The Crow, and there was like, you ever like we were living in a movie while watching a movie. We get there 20 minutes early, 30 minutes early, sit in the theater. There's a dude in our row at the very end with the biggest fucking phone I ever seen in my life, and it's loud as shit. Like he's the only one in there at that time. He has it super loud. He doesn't even acknowledge that we're there because you think like you see somebody walking up, you look over like, oh, and turn your phone down because you're in a shared space. And it's almost to the bottom of his bucket of popcorn. Then while 30, 40 minutes into the movie, he is snoring so damn loud. I mean, it's like a bear having a fight with a vacuum, dude. It's fucking horrendous to the point where us and everybody else that was within the same vicinity, we're like throwing popcorn at him and fucking M&Ms and chains. Nothing shook this dude. And it was almost like he was watching it with his eyes closed because when things would happen, his snores would get louder. And I'm like, is he have some kind of weird superpower where he can watch a movie while he's fucking asleep? But it took everything in me not to like throw my drink on dude. Like it was that fucking bad. So the experience for me, I had to super enjoy and focus what I was watching because I was trying to get fucking pissed off at this fucking fat ass over in the fucking corner, dog. Oh, dude, it was so bad, so bad. He's finna get
All right.
crowed, damn it.
All right, let's move on to movie number 2.
Oh yeah, so directorial debut for Zoe Kravitz. Blink Twice. When tech billionaire Slater King meets cocktail waitress Frida at his fundraising gala, he invites her to join him and his friends for a dream vacation on his private island. Wild nights soon blend into sun-soaked days, but when strange things start to happen, Frida must uncover the truth if she hopes to make it out alive. Stars Channing Tatum, Naomi Aki, Adria Arjona, and Alice Shawkat, along with a bunch of big names that I didn't expect to be attached to this film because I never looked at the casting. But as like you're watching the film, you're like, oh shit, oh shit. Yeah, I'll let you go first on this one.
All right. This film, by the way, speaking of which, I'm going to start doing this every week. Currently sits at 77% on Rotten Tomatoes with the critics, 68 with the old audiences. I'm just going to be honest. I thought Blink Twice was boring as fuck. I thought this movie was such a chore to get through. I think directorial wise, I think Kravitz has an eye for specific scenes that really enhance the film or attempted to enhance the film. I felt like outside of that, I think the script is just absolutely piss poor. Like I just don't understand the purpose of the film. And I understand what it's trying to say. I understand what it's trying to do. I understand that the movie's basically, I would assume, just like Epstein's Island almost. But I mean, like, that's what it was just like, oh, cool. Rich white people go to an island, rape women, drug them so they forget it, and then maybe kill them or maybe send them back to the real world. Like, that's Blink Twice in a bubble. Like, that's really what it is. The only thing that I really liked about Blink Twice was like the last 10 minutes. Like, and that was really cool because of how everything comes full circle. Won't dive into it. Still just out in theaters. But I just thought it was terrible. Like, I literally was bored. The first, I don't know, hour of the movie just felt like it just dragged on for so long. And I mean, sure, like, you know, you got the drug trip to it. That's kind of okay. And then I think it tries to be funny, and it's like tonal wise, like it's like what's kind of funny about what's happening at the same time. Like, I don't really know. Like, you knew something more was going on throughout the entire time you're watching it. I just felt like there could have been a better use of what was actually happening versus what actually happened in the movie. I don't think it's very thrilling. I don't think it's very like daunting. I don't feel like it's I don't know. It wasn't like, it's even listed like a dark comedy. Like, I don't understand like what is funny. Like, sure, there's some funny moments of like banter maybe. I really didn't. You kind of predict what happened really fast. You kind of get an idea that something is happening with the women that's probably against their will. I think kind of some of that's a little bit spoiled because of the warning you get before the movie, which you can appreciate the warning, but like when the domestic abuse or the sexual assault doesn't happen right away, you don't really see it. You kind of put two and two together when you're watching the movie. It's like, oh, okay, so they're probably like, and you notice everybody's being drugged, the things are being weird. The reveal of the whole snake thing I thought was fucking dumb. I don't know. I fucking hated it. Like, I didn't like it. I thought there was some things that worked from the directorial standpoint of how Kravitz shot it, which was crafted in a nice way. But outside of that, I didn't care for the performances. I think there's some good performances from some of the ancillary pieces. I will stand on a hill that I don't think Channing Tatum belongs in a serious actor role. He just hasn't proven to me. good in Foxcatcher, but few and far between then and there. This wasn't that script for him. But yeah, Naomi Ackie, I thought she was okay. I mean, but again, for an hour and 46-minute movie, I mean, or hour and 42-minute movie, I like 10 minutes of it. Like really like 10 minutes of it. And by the time I got to that 10 minutes, I was so checked out. I was like, oh, that was cool. And I couldn't like I literally looked over an hour into the movie and was just like, I'm bored to death right now. Like I'm literally bored to death. But yeah, what did you think of Blink Twice?
Yeah, so I literally, this is one of the first times, weirdly enough, that I've gotten multiple messages from people are like, what'd you think? What'd you think of it? And I thought that the idea the idea was creative. But I do think that it took, like you said, it did take too long to get to what you kind of already kind of expected was going to happen. Like as soon as we get to the island, I kind of already guessed what was taking place because I don't know what it was. It just felt like this is a thing that causes a thing to happen. Um, and I was sitting there thinking, I was like, oh, this is gonna be like some kind of most dangerous game meets something else. I couldn't think off the top of my head, like the hunt or something. But it took way too long to get to that point. Like if you wanted to make a film kind of about a misstep, a huge misstep, and then survival, you should have made most of the film about trying to survive and get off this island. Because when we do get to that point, like you said, it is fantastic the way they're loose back and you see things play out. You're like, oh yeah, well, all that should have been like 30 minutes before. We could have had like a whole half hour of a survival film. Um, and now it was good as um some clarity starts to take place and like, oh, this is what's going on, and leading up to that. But that all that could have been earlier, and then we could have had like, hey, this person's gone, hey, this person's gone, like, and then someone I don't remember these multiple people, and then see how they have to figure this shit out. I don't. It could have been a lot better. I personally do like Channing Tatum in this just because we know him as like a super nice guy, and to see him be like this kind of weird because I think Channing he's more of a movie star than an actor. So his personality, you when you see him on screen, you just see like the goofy, bubbly guy who just happens to be attractive to everybody. And to kind of see him in this like maniacal, like rapey vibe type of dude was kind of interesting. And I think the movie is supposed to be, uh multiple times, whether it's at a bar, a club. You have these guys of stature, throwing around money, or they exude I'm rich, and a lot of women want to get close. And this is kind of a warning to like it's not always what you think it is. Like the date raping type shit can happen with the rich dude, or it can happen with the scummy looking dude. It doesn't matter, and I think that's kind of what she was trying to go for. I also, the back of my mind, I'm sitting there thinking like, has she seen something like this play out? Because it's very pointed. You know what I mean? So and I saw an interview and they were talking about these other they're asking about I want to say it was Shaheem Reed was like, how'd you get like these big names? And she was like, they wanted to like show support. And I'm like, support of you or support of getting this message out or a little bit of both? Because I feel like she's seen some weird shit. If you listen to different podcasts with different people, especially influencers who are around these kind of, they talk about weird ass like sex parties and things like this. So I'm like, I wonder if she witnessed some weird ass shit or some weird ass shit happened to her, and she was like, I gotta get this out and do it in a creative way. It is a very like message wise, a very like bombastic way to have your debut, because now we're going to expect you to go kind of this. I don't know what route you want to call it, but it's the kind of, lesser Jordan Peele route, kind of a M. Night Shyamalan kind of, we're gonna expect you to be in your dark bag. And when we see Zoe, she gives off the hot goth chick. That's you know what I mean. So maybe this is what we're gonna get. Now, it's not as strong as some other creators we've seen for their first outing, especially for someone who's been in Hollywood this long. And we've seen people like, Celine Song come out swinging. And this just isn't that. It's not, I don't think it's bad, but it could have been better. I think as a big guy who people tend to stay away from, an experience like this, I don't feel the same level of stress maybe than if you are a woman who has experiences, or even a guy who's experienced this, because there is a male character that experiences kind of the same thing. So maybe if you've experienced something, or a friend has this kind of thing happen to them, you go, oh shit, like I've seen this story, or I've experienced this story, and you do get that like heightened sense. But the one good thing is, once you get to that last like 15 minutes, you you kind of, that's one of those ones where you kind of stand up and cheer once you realize like the dirt that some of these guys have done. Because I know in my theater there was a woman next to me. She was like, "Hell yeah!" And I was like, "Nah, I get that, because fuck that dude." Like, but yeah, I mean, it aesthetically looked good. I mean, you're on an island, and there's the scenery's great. The house, the whole production design looks great and pristine, which makes it, I guess, that more creepy, because it's this, you know, super untouched looking property where all this dirt goes down. So it lulls you into a sense of safety, and then of course a whole bunch of bad shit happens. But yeah, I mean, I don't think any one performance outdoes another. There's no like super standout, unfortunately. And I mean, I don't. I mean, I think Simon Rex, I feel like his was pretty decent, because he's just such a douche kind of character in a lot of his movies. So it kind of felt like a sequel to fucking Red Rocket. Like they took that guy out of that movie and put him in this movie. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people will like it. It's decent. It could have, like I said, it could have been better. But I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see what Zoe does next, because it's a decent start. Because and I will say this too. I compare to other outings, but I will say this is when and I'm sure you've had this kind of thought too, of creating something, and it's hard to create something with so many moving pieces that has a twist, and you want to do these things than trying to tell a straightforward story. So I will say that is a little more of a daunting task. But you know, you have a finished product. It's not great, but I think it'll probably one of those movies that has a cult following at the end because of the comeuppance that happens. So yeah, it's got some interesting little plot devices. But what do I suggest going to see it? Yeah, go see it. I don't think you'll be disappointed. You just won't be wowed. You know.
I feel you. Yeah, go support it. It's an original movie idea. Never want to see a movie bomb, whether I like it or not, especially when it comes to an original movie idea. All right, let's talk about the last movie. We'll keep it brief for you guys. We don't like making these podcasts too long, because we like to make sure that you get in and out the door. But Strange Darling, Dom, give us a skivvy on that.
Yeah, so this one's got a shorter synopsis. Nothing is what it seems when a twisted one-night stand spirals into a serial killer's vicious murder spree. Directed by J.T. Moner, This has a very small cast, starring Willa Fitzgerald, Kyle Gallner, and everybody else is just kind of there because it's all about these two. I was surprised by this movie because I follow Willa's story because she's a Nashville native from what I understand, and so I was kind of excited to see like, oh, she's getting this her shit, you know what I mean? And Kyle's very good at playing these types. Like, I don't, for one, side note, I don't know why Kyle doesn't get the same love that Evan Peters got during like the American Horror Story shit, because he's very good at playing kind of like this, walking the line of this like kind of serial killery, sadistic type dude. But uh the story takes place in 6 chapters, and it tells a story out of sync. It tells it, it starts with like 3, and then it goes to like 2 or 1, then it goes to 5, and so it tells it all out of place. And so you have this meeting of 2 people, and you don't, at first you like, yo, this is first date. Is this kind of a, prostitute vibe? It feels like it. I don't know what's going on, but as the story goes on, it is nothing as that seems. Like you watching one scene and expecting this to happen, but then there's another turn to that turn, and then you get to this turn. There's a turn to that turn. Now, I will say, if you're a perceptive person, you will kind of pick up on the twist because of appearances. I told a buddy of mine, he hit me up, what'd you think? And he said, I figured the twist out kind of early by accident. I said, I figured it out once I looked at dude's face. And he goes, oh, and there's a very specific thing about his face that screams this. And that's when I kind of knew. But I do like the ride that it takes us on. It is Willa, I think, puts on a terrific performance, because we don't get to see her like this. Thing she's in, she doesn't get to go to these heights. Because I feel like thrillers, suspense, horror films, I feel like this really can help a career. And you saw it with like Samara Weaving. We've seen it with Melissa, with Jenna. These movies, when you get to have these range of emotions, you get to be a badass, you get to try to survive. This gives you this toolbox to play in, and she does all these things. And this cat and mouse game is basically it's Tom and Jerry, but you don't know who's Tom and you don't know who's Jerry. And your mind is gonna flip flop of this person and that person, and or maybe it's this way. I think it's a lot of fun. It's easily digestible, even though it tells a story kind of out of order, and it's fast paced. It's like full tilt pretty much the whole way. The only slowdown is in the car, and the car scene I think is good how it sets everything up. And I think, what is it, like a $1.36, something like that. So the movie, we've got this a couple times where we've gotten these shorter movies. Well, I say shorter, regular timed movies, and we've gotten a full story. We've gotten everything we've needed and good ass endings. And I think this movie has it all. It has cool cinematography. It has the blood. It has the thrills. And if you're a nice old person, maybe just don't help young people. Sorry, because it's gonna bite you in the ass apparently. But yeah, I really enjoyed this crazy little ride. And this is very much an indie film. Go support this film. This is a small film that you should support, because it's a good time. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, so I don't hate the movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I will say that I have been fooled for the I don't know, 4th or 5th time this year. I mean, it currently set to like 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is crazy, just crazy high. I'll keep it brief. there is things about this movie that I think that are really good. One of the things is Willa Fitzgerald, who I think is an incredible actress. Incredible actress, period. She doesn't get enough credit for what she's done in her body of work, and hopefully this propels her to new levels, which I think it will. Definitely going to be an indie darling. Definitely could see a potential independent film spirit award, whatever the hell they're called, nomination for her in the near future, especially if they were smart about it. I do think that this is definitely an independent film that's going to be highlighted, especially with a high percentage on Rotten Tomatoes. Um, Narratively, structure wise, I do think it's a little bit messy. I think that it's easy to follow, but it would have been easier to follow if they would have maybe changed the approach. I agree with you. The predictable aspect of it, which really made me mad, because if you figure it out fast, it kind of ruins the movie for you. When you when it ruins the movie for you, you're like, fuck, you know what I mean? Because then when it does play out the way you want it to, you're like, damn, that really wasn't suspenseful. It really wasn't that easy to figure. Like, it was just like, damn, like I figured it out. So to me, that takes away from the film for me, because if you maybe not everybody can see it. Maybe we watch too many fucking movies, to be honest with you. That's quite possibly that as well. But for me personally, it kind of dinged it a little bit. But good independent film. Check it out. Watch it. Definitely different. I love A Breath of Fresh Air. I think I'm like 2.5 stars on it. I think it's watchable. I just didn't love it. Maybe 3 stars if on a good day, just because of Willa's performance. But yeah, it's a solid indie film. I mean, it's to me nothing groundbreaking. I don't think it's like earth shattering. I've seen people give it 4.5, 5 stars, or 4, like be heavy on the 4.5, 5 mark, and I'm like, it's not that great of a movie. Like, we're talking about like 4.5 stars, like that. That means it's gotta be a great movie.
Right.
But yeah, the one thing I'm praying to the gods for is see. I went to the movies twice, and if I see the Speak No Evil fucking trailer one more time, I'm going to fucking shoot myself, because I'm tired of seeing that trailer. Okay, I cannot wait for that movie to come out. I'm tired of seeing it, and also I am so tired of seeing the Beetlejuice trailer. Please, for the love of God, look. I understand that you can come into movies later. I'm still going to see the trailers, but Jesus, like the Speak No Evil trailer, I have seen it so many times, and it's the same trailer over and over and over again.
All 3 movies had the trailer.
I went to see The Crow, and I'm like, man, I was excited about The Crow, but then I saw the Speak No Evil trailer. Hang on, I've been writing down. So like the Smile. First off, why are we getting the Smile 2 trailer so damn early? Don't understand that. The Red One trailer looked good, looked cool the first time I saw it. I kind of like. I'm excited about that, just even though it does look a little CGI-y, but I'm low-key excited about it.
The first time it was hilarious when they get to the slapping scene, and he's like,
yes,
oh my God, that's hilarious. Now it's not as funny anymore.
Yeah, I've seen it 7 times now. It's not hilarious anymore. I'm tired of seeing the Joker trailer, even though I'm very excited about that. Craven trailer actually looked kind of cool on the big screen. Not gonna lie, looks kind of dope. And Dave Bautista's movie that we've already seen 7,000 times in our lifetime. You know what I mean? That movie's.
I will say, the one, I forgot which movie I was in, but it did show the Red Band trailer of Bautista's movie, because I hadn't seen that one. It does make it a little better, because it does kind of, it does pull in those John Wick elements of like how creative the kills are. But again, it's still very similar to a John Wick type movie.
Yeah, I'm just so tired of seeing the trailer for it. Like, I'm just because it doesn't. I think what makes it work worse is it doesn't look good. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't look fun. Doesn't look good. Doesn't just. It looks like it's going to be boring, and it looks like a movie that should have been like just dropped on Netflix or something.
Yeah, like I will say the one that I've seen a little bit more now than before, that every time I see it, I do want to see it that much more, is The Front Room. Every time I see that trailer, that's one, with Brandy.
Yeah, I'm like, for the first time. I saw that for the first time in front of The Crow. I think it was. I think I'm pretty excited about that. Actually.
Yeah, oh my God, that movie looks so good, because I've had some situations like that, not to that extent, of course, but like some like it just know that I've had many interracial relationships before my marriage, and I've had some weird situations with some grandparents or some parents. So this movie it's gonna hit a little different for me.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for the first time the other day, and I was like, oh, 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 this is gonna be like that. Okay, got it.
Oh,
Sweet.
I definitely think that the one, I don't know her name, unfortunately, playing the grandmother. She
Yeah,
looks like she's fixing to win an award for this shit.
I know, for real. I just hope it's kind of good. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm going to try to catch it in theaters, but I'm not 100% positive I'm going to. I just haven't decided yet because um, and that's also if I don't like jump off a bridge after having to go see Beetlejuice.
I
Beetlejuice
mean,
is
it's
so bad,
8:24. We
dude.
might get a little early.
Yeah, but but the thing about it is that's a short week, holiday Monday. Our screener for
Oh,
Beetlejuice is Tuesday,
that's true. Shit.
so it might be the same night as Beetlejuice. I don't know.
I hope not.
Decisions will have to be made then.
Yeah, we've had to make those decisions before.
It'll be this fall. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to see Beetlejuice. I never want to see that trailer again. I don't want to see Beetlejuice at all, to be honest with you. I have no desire to see that movie, but I'm going to go see it. I'm going to complain about it every week until we see it, and then I'm going to complain about it when we see it. But I'm going to walk into the movie with an open mind with the high hopes that it's going to surprise me. Doubt it will. That being said, that is it for this week's episode of the Popcorn People podcast. We will be back next week talking probably 1992. Also, maybe possibly Reagan, if I could talk Dom Fisher into going with me. I'm going to put a poll on Twitter. I'm going to put a poll on Twitter. I'm going to put a poll on Instagram. I'm going to put a poll on Threads. And I'm going to put a poll on there asking if the world wants Dom and I to go see Reagan together. And if the poll wins, I'm going to force this man to go see Reagan. So, yeah, that should be interesting. So vote yes, so I can force Dom to go see Reagan. But outside of that, thank you guys so much for listening. We will be back next week.
Peace.